and some issues arose due to closing. So I wanted to figure out whether or not there were some loopholes I could do, especially as a student, around that particular issue.
And what was your name again?
Matthew Attaway.
Matthew, yeah. So Matthew, when we do our haves and wants, because for everybody on here, we keep this very live and very interactive, and we're here to answer questions. We'll definitely have, you can definitely ask your question. We'll answer to the best of our abilities. So I'm glad to have you. We're glad to have you, and hopefully we can help out. So you're here in Rochester right now, or
I'm back. I just finished my internship last week. I'm back in the New York area, Queens area.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Yeah, this is actually a good time for people to actually just talk and do whatever until we get started. So this is kind of our pre-network, I guess, or whatever you want to call
it. Buenos dias. My name is Luis Martinez, and I'm new to this group, FFREIA, and I participated in a couple of these sessions. Actually, I remember Allison Russell. I think you're out in the West Coast, Allison. And we talked about you in very positive terms, that you're out in the West Coast and you're still investing in this area, and the beautiful things you said about the Finger Lakes and all that. So I recall that. And so there may be some other folks here. Anyway, so I'm new here, so I will be asking all the dumb questions. Just forgive and forget. Thank you.
Louis, no question is dumb, so don't ever think that. Okay, and true, and I mean this very. People think I'm kidding around when I say that. The people who ask the most questions, whether it be these calls or whatever groups you're involved with, are the ones that end up being the most successful, because they actually get their questions answered and they actually go about the business of doing stuff. So don't ever think that.
Thank you. Let me tell you a quick American dream story, and then I'll be quiet. I'm a Cuban immigrant, and I came to the United States. Actually, I was sent legally to the United States when I was 12 years old. But anyway, when my parents and all came, and in high school, my parents bought their first house in the United States in a place called Dover, Delaware. And as I look back, it was a seller financed, transaction, because the person selling the house was a Cuban doctor who had, more resources than my father did. He was an accountant, and so the good doctor Dr. Alvarez enabled my father to buy this very, very simple bi-level house, 3-1. And some years went past, and I remember I came home from college, University of Delaware, and we were raking the front lawn, and my dad says, there's a really nice development down the street called Cross Gates, and maybe we should sell this house and buy that house in Cross Gates that has, it's a 3-2 one-car garage, a central air and all that. My mother said, well, why don't we keep this house and rent it out and buy the house in Cross Gates? My dad said, this is a true story. My dad says, well, how are we going to do that? She said, well, you're the accountant, figure it out. He did. Wow. So he bought the house in Cross Gates. He kept the first house. Of course, he did it once, so he did it again and again and again, buy, rent, buy, hold, rent. And he achieved the American dream, my parents did, by doing that. So what I'm saying is that it is possible to do that. And this is in the days of telephone and typewriters, right? No internet, none of this, just telephone and typewriter and carbon paper. Remember carbon paper?
Oh, yeah.
So the reason I call our business Cross Gates Properties is because of that story. So thank you for listening. And yes, you can.
Yeah, it's a great story. That's great, Louis. We appreciate you sharing that, actually. Plus I'm glad people share their stories, because at least that way we get to know each other, so that's great.
Good morning, Joe and everybody else. It's Llewellyn.
Oh, Llewellyn, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Doing great.
Good.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly Lane. I am an investor first and a real estate agent with eXp Realty. Hi, Allison. And I've been seeing a lot of Kirsten this week. So hi, Kirsten.
Welcome. It's great to have some new faces on here. And by the way, there's a chat box too. So don't be afraid to put your information up on the chat box.
Scott just joined. He should be in a second.
Awesome. We have the man, the myth about to join us.
I was just about to ask, where the hell is Scott? He's always going to be on this morning. That bastard. Hi, Joe.
Going on, Gabe.
What's up?
Oh man. Scott's actually we still have a few more minutes, so we're doing all right on time.
Hey, this is Diane. I assume you're doing introductions.
Well, somewhat, but yeah,
Danielle?
you're welcome to. You can choose.
Oh. Well, I'm driving today, so I'm just going to be able to listen. So I'm glad you guys are all there.
Awesome. Perfect. Welcome. Just be careful driving.
Okay, well, thanks.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Polizzi. I'm new to the group. Invested in real estate in the past, sold everything when our kids were young, and now we're looking to get back into it. Obviously, now that my teenagers just roll their eyes at me. So now we have time to get back into it. Definitely looking for a good network, like a CPA, realtor, to maybe more commercial type of passive investments is kind of more than we're looking than being in like individual landlord type of thing is what we did before. Definitely for tax purposes. My husband and I both have like W-2 jobs, but of course, you know.
We're sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I know, right? It's terrible.
I'm just kidding.
It's horrible. So we definitely need to expand and look for some, you know, good real estate tax deductions. You know, we have a CPA who's just been kind of like for the years going, oh, you guys should just enjoy the money you make and pay your taxes and move forward. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sick of paying taxes. So that's like my main goal, and really looking to build a network and try to find, you know, alternative strategies to do through real estate.
Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate getting on the Zoom meeting here. You picked a great spot to be able to network. And you'll get some great information. And again, we like to keep this very live and very interactive. Okay.
Awesome. Great.
So
Thank you
it's
so much.
great.
I'm in the mortgage industry, so I do have a really good background. I'm a wholesale account executive, so I have a good background in real estate. So this is like the perfect group for me. I watched the former recorded Zoom call, so I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, great to have you. I know it's about 9 o'clock right now. Is Scott even on, the man, the myth?
Yes, Scott is here.
On Joe, let's go.
There you go. Now we really got it going. Scott's on.
Mhm.
Scott, your business partner's looking for you. He wants to know what's up.
Which one? His partner. Mhm.
Oh, man.
What's going on, everybody? Good morning. So glad you're all here.
Scott, are you even in Rochester, or whereabouts are you?
I'm in the Rochester area. Yeah, I'm out of Bryan's. Out of my brother's hanging out for a
Oh,
couple of days.
okay.
Then we're gonna, and I head back down towards Canisius here next week. So
Yeah.
be back down there. Yep. So I'll be in town. I'll be here for the picnic next week. Woo! So yeah.
Great.
Anybody doesn't know about the picnic, somebody will talk about it, that's for sure. And then in September, Leon asked me if I could present about self-storage, which I'm happy to do. So yeah. Yeah,
Well, that's
really
good.
looking forward to it.
It's going to be great, Scott. For those of you who don't know, who are new, and we're going to start the introductions here real quick here. Scott Spear actually used to live in Rochester, was from Rochester, New York, had real estate, sold them all, got into self-storage, sold all his real estate, bought a mansion on wheels, and for the last year and a half, him and his wife have been traveling at their leisure all through the country, East Coast, West Coast, North, South. He's graced us with his presence for the next few weeks or so here in Rochester, New York. And I think he's probably, Scott, how many storage facilities are you up to? 12, 14? I don't even know anymore.
I don't either, so somewhere in there. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so he's, yeah,
Mhm.
so Scott, so for those of you who are looking to, to really step it up and get into self-storage, that September Zoom meet, is it gonna be in person, Scott, or is it gonna be on Zoom, or?
In person will be a first.
Awesome, all right,
I'll be here. Mhm.
that's gonna be great, oh my God, yeah, that'll be a nice packed house. So, but we'll talk about that, here shortly. But we'll just kick it off here real quick. This is the Alternative Real Estate Investment Association. We talk about everything having to do with real estate except for tenants and toilets. Okay. There's a whole separate group for that, which is going to be next week at the same time. Is that going to be in person, or is that also on Zoom? I don't know if they changed that schedule or not.
That'd be the morning. That would be the morning with Pat and Bob, I think.
Yeah, is that at Izzy's or where, or is
Yes.
that? Okay,
Yes.
all right, so that's
is.
gonna be next week, live and in person on Izzy's, or Izzy's there on Buffalo Road. Go to the FFREIA website, we'll give you the address. You can talk about tenants and toilets till your heart is ever so content. Here, we'll talk about everything else, whether it's wholesaling, notes, fixing, flipping, the market, whatever questions you may have, anything having to do, we'll do the best our ability to answer them. Don't take what we say as gospel. Please always talk to your accountant and always talk to your attorney. Okay.
And your significant other.
Oh yeah, and your significant other. That's very, very important. Otherwise, the couch will be your home. Yeah, but basically, we like to keep this live, interactive. But what we usually, oh, by the way, I don't know if there's some announcements. I know next week is going to be the picnic. I don't know if Leon is on there or just wants to briefly touch upon it. Is Leon on the call here right now?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Go
I'm here
ahead.
on the call. So, regarding the picnic, certainly hope for great weather. Right now, seems like it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but yeah, we have the picnic our schedule for the 11th of August on that Thursday evening from 5 to 9, and right now, Mayor Malik Evans is still planning on coming to the meeting. And as most people know, we changed the format just a little bit at last year's meeting to be a session where primarily we're going to do a shift, and that shift was from folks who are just coming and enjoying themselves to one where we do a little bit of interaction with local politicians to be able to hear from them and have them understand us and the fact that we do breathe air and are humans too, and sort of change the perspective that people have for individuals who are housing providers. So that's the main reason why he'll be there. He'll make some comments. I'll make a few comments, but we want to keep it to a minimum, particularly for him and myself there. I haven't heard back from individuals that I have invited that are members of city council. So the 6 city council members that voted to not put in place good cause eviction and some of the CFO changes that the city was proposing, I invited those individuals, and the thoughts there is that you would be able to talk to them directly one-on-one and be able to influence their thinking as they go forward. And as strange as it may seem, that is one of the main reasons why a lot of the, for sake of better words, anti-housing provider items did not get passed. So that's sort of the change in format. By the same token, we expect to have a lot of food, a lot of fun. We'll do some giveaways, and it's outlined to be as an unenjoyable time. We've been doing it for many years. I don't know how many back, at least probably 7 or 8 years. So look forward to seeing everyone there. One of the key and most important thing is, would people please go in and register, so I have at least some idea about how many folks are going to be coming. And the picnic is one of those events, like the holiday party, where basically what we do is we allow members to come, and members can bring a guest. And I have this super value proposition that I use all the time at Home Depot. And that is, if you come to the picnic and you come to the holiday party, just those things by itself, if you think about it from a monetary standpoint, it actually is worth more than what you pay in the way of dues. So really look forward to seeing everybody there, and some of the folks that we haven't gotten the chance to meet, be able to meet them in person. So I think that's it about the picnic. Joe and Andy, anything that you want to interject here that I may have missed? I didn't go through a lot of details with the picnic. I mean, the food, the beverage, so all those things are all provided as a part of the picnic. And it's at the White House. I should tell you this, is at the White House at Webster Park in Webster, New York.
That's pretty much it. Andy?
I was just saying, the only thing I'll throw out there is that you have to be a paid member.
Yeah, that's where I was working towards, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought I said that, but certainly should be reiterated.
But as you said, the picnic and the holiday party more than offset the dues on it, so. And all of the recordings, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And then, yeah, so that's going to count as this month's meeting. And then obviously next month will be Scott Spear, which we'll be talking about more in the coming weeks for September.
Right, at Ferraris.
Yep, at Ferraris in East Rochester. For all this information, everybody just go to the FFREIA website, FFREIA.com, and just take a look, and it'll give you all the information you want and all the information you need.
So Joe, I wasn't on in the beginning part of the meeting, and
No.
yeah,
To answer
certainly.
your question, no.
I beg your pardon?
To answer your question, no.
Okay. And so one of the things, and so I'm presuming that you know what my question is, but so one of the things that I wanted to make sure that people are aware of is Freedom First basically is run as a volunteer organization. It's not for profit. And so everyone that you see here on this call that is saying that they're involved and engaged in Freedom First, they're basically, they work for free. We don't we don't get not one red copper penny. Let me just get to the point. One of the things that happened is that back in the very beginning, there was a person by the name of Susan Holman and her husband Doug, and they were instrumental in Freedom First existing, instrumental in Freedom First being able to be successful and be where it's at today. Freedom First was lucky because it had Susan as the secretary, and Doug did everything that that was needed to support Susan and Freedom First. So earlier this week, Susan, who retired as the secretary, she passed away. So I'm not sure that was mentioned earlier, but it was challenging when she left the organization roughly a year and a half ago, but it's many, many times more challenging to think about her not being here, because even though you don't see her at any of the meetings, she was always willing to help and support us, even though she was no longer she basically retired and was no longer an officer. So we're gonna miss Susan, and Freedom First will not be able to replace Susan and all the things that she's done. Because without her, just straightforward, Freedom First would not exist today. So we don't know exactly what the arrangements will be. The input that I have is that it's going to be a relatively quiet event, and as we get more details, we'll send it out. Joe, Andy, did I miss anything there?
No, other than and I think Susan retired around a year ago, maybe a little less, but she did so much work that we had to break her job into 3 pieces. And so it took 3 people to replace what she did.
Okay, so Joe, I'm gonna give the podium back over to you.
All right. Yeah, and by the way, so I know some people who do know her or didn't know her. I mean, I got to know Susan, and because of this group is where I am today. And she was humble. Yeah, when Joe was saying it took 3 people to do her job, he wasn't kidding. You know, so we all owe her a lot, you know. So, but yeah, so you know, we'll let people know as far as what they're going to be doing, the arrangements with that. And Leon, thank you for letting us know, and you know, and telling everybody. Okay. I don't know if, well, I guess we'll get back on track here. I guess we'll do haves and wants, and then we're going to start. What, Scott?
Gotta do intros, new people.
Yeah, actually, the bunch of them we were doing them prior to you getting on, believe it or not. There was, I don't know if anyone else who hasn't introduced themselves. You can see them better than I can, Scott.
I can go. My name is Karan. I moved to the Rochester area last year. Moved here from Texas, so the snow is new to me. And yeah, I'm just interested in learning more about getting into real estate wholesaling. I do have a full-time job, which keeps me quite busy, but there's a strong attraction towards this business. So it's definitely a priority for me to get started on this.
Awesome. Welcome.
Great. Welcome to the group.
Karen, where from in Texas are you from?
I moved here from Houston.
Yeah. You'll find out while we're laughing. Don't worry.
We got a person from a great place in the house. That's great. So I was born in Houston, Texas. Graduated from Texas Southern University and came up here. And that was, I won't even say how many years ago. Let's just say it was over 40. So pleasure to have you as a part of this group, and I don't have to take out the flack when something comes up associated with Texas anymore. I mean, you'll be around and be able to help me with some of that.
Yep, certainly. I'm very proud to spend the 7-8 years I did in Texas. It's a great place.
Yep. Was just back there last month for the first time in about 3 or 4 years. So yeah, we can compare notes and all those things if you like to do that. And that's not just because he's in Texas. I mean, anyone that's a just a general comment that's open to folks.
Oh, that's great. All right,
I'll
welcome.
go next here. I'm Logan Graham. I actually grew up in Sodus. My parents, they own about 30 units over there. So I grew up working those single family and duplexes. I currently own a triplex and I'm in a living flip right now. So that's going good. I'm actually looking to do more like larger multifamily. I did do a property management. I worked with a property management company, managed about 100 units there for a few years. So now I'm looking to do it on the other side, with the owning those larger properties.
Okay, great. Welcome, welcome.
Good morning. My name is Ezra. My husband and I are looking into real estate investing. So I'm new to the group. I'm originally from Brooklyn, and I went to school at Brockport, met my husband, stayed here. We have a bunch of kids. And so I am looking into now starting real estate investing with my husband and I.
Awesome. That's great.
Matthew, did you introduce yourself earlier? Apologize if you did.
Scott, are you still there? Oh, Scott fading in and out. Think you're sick. Sorry. Anyone else who hasn't introduced themselves? I know we did some of them a few minutes right before we got started here. I think we're okay.
Matthew, are you new to the group?
I am. I introduced myself earlier, but I'm always down to do that again. If that's
great.
Fine. Okay. So my name is Matthew Attaway. I'm a rising second-year law student at St. John's Law School. And the reason why I'm here today, one, I'm new, and two, I recently just finished up an internship within the Rochester area and was introduced to the Rochester real estate market while I was over there doing my internship. And I have a couple questions in regards to closing and different ways to navigate the kind of predicament I'm in. I'm also Canadian. So being a real estate investor within this market is kind of interesting. And I wanted to find some clarity or some different avenues to take in regards to the journey I'm on as a real estate investor while being in school.
Okay. Great. Yeah, we'll tell, actually, Scott, when we're done with haves and wants, we're actually going to address Matthew's questions. It's one of the first things we'll definitely get to.
Perfect. Good. Good. Let's see. Introduce yourself. Let's see. Hold on one more. Let's see if it's somebody else.
Yeah.
Is anybody else new to the group or new?
We're good.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're good, Joe. Go ahead.
You want to do has and wants real quick? Oh, Scott, you're fading in and out. I couldn't tell. We'll just do has and wants.
Go ahead, Joe. I'm going to switch over on my Wi-Fi.
Okay. So this is where we get the opportunity to actually let people know, let us know, let other people know what you're looking for. Some people on here are looking to buy, some people are looking to sell. Don't be shy, because a lot of real estate happens within this group that the public will never, ever, ever find out about. Okay. And this is a great place to network. So what will happen is all of a sudden a property will come up. Let's just say Gabe will get a property, or anyone else on this call will get a property. We'll say, oh, wow, that person was on the Zoom call last week and they were mentioning they wanted to know about this. They want to know about this property or that property, and we'll call. We'll either get a hold of you, say, hey, listen, we have this property you might be interested in. So haves and wants. If you're looking to buy, looking to sell, let us know. Feel free, put it out there.
Do we say it right now, or do we just wait until?
No, yeah, it's just let us know what kind of properties you're looking for, and then we're gonna get to your question right afterwards.
Okay.
The haves and wants right now.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. I'm looking for multifamily units within the Rochester area. Kind of looking for properties that have tenant occupancy, and with at least one unit open so that I can satisfy the primary residence requirement
Okay,
for the year.
great. Who else is looking?
I'll go. Jennifer Polizzi, I think I mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Definitely looking for maybe more of a commercial self-storage, more passive in real estate investment for obviously tax purposes we talked about before. Also wouldn't be opposed to maybe nicer single families in the suburbs that could kind of run themselves. Or short-term investment or short-term rentals in southern states. Something that could be managed by Airbnb hosts, something more passive. That's what we're looking for.
Okay, great. And by the way, remember the chat box. Don't be afraid to put your info, name, phone number. That way people can actually get a hold of each other here.
Good morning, Michelle Wheeler, High Falls. How is everybody? So we are looking for things that are more passive, as is Jennifer, partnering in self-storage, lending on self-storage. We also do private lending. I can put my information in the chat box. Looking for less tenants and more of other things. Good to see everybody this morning. It's been a while since I've come on the Zoom, so it's great to be here.
Great to see you, Michelle.
Yeah, really glad you're here, Michelle. Good to see you.
Who else?
Joe, I'll go. Good morning, guys. My name's Gabriel, and I think I'm going to speak for Scott in a minute because he's probably going to echo me, but what the heck. We're looking for storage anywhere in the U.S., ideally 10,000 square feet and above. We're looking to take it down under whether we wholesale it or be equity partners in it or buy and hold, whatever the situation. If the numbers work and it works in both parties' favors, we'll definitely take a look at it. That's what we do all day, every day. If anyone knows anyone anywhere that wants to sell either today or in a month, it doesn't matter. Please let me know. I'll put my information in the chat box, by the way. And please let me or Scott know. All right. So, yeah, that's all I got. Thank you.
Great. I love your background. It says it all.
Yep. Absolutely. Scott. Same thing. Looking for self-storage anywhere across the country. Like Gabe said, we're willing to, we pay really good wholesale fees. If you come across a facility that works and numbers work, pay great wholesale fees. Let's see, last wholesale fee we paid out $40,000. We've had others have been more, some others have been less. Or bring you as an equity partner. So if you're out driving around, you see a self-storage facility, it looks like it's maybe a little bit run down or something like that. Give them a call, talk to the owner, see if they're looking to sell, or you can snap a picture and send it to us and we'll give them a call. And if something that works out, we'll pay you a fee. I'm going to say it's going to be at least $10,000 if we got storage facility refer to us. So but that's it. That's it for me. I'm going to switch over on a different Wi-Fi right now.
Okay. Anyone else got a Christmas wish list here? Well, I'll go, I guess. I'm looking for commercial residential, multi-unit singles, also storage facilities. I will do stuff out of state. And whether it's city or suburbs, basically for me, it's going to be all about the numbers. Numbers work, we're in. But that's pretty much about it. Anyone else? No one's got a Christmas wish list. I think Christmas is like 23 Saturdays away, I think, or 24 Saturdays. So it's coming up. Someone's got to have.
Hey, Joe, it's Llewellyn.
Hey.
I'm looking for multifamily in the Wayne County and the Geneva area. And that's mostly what I'm focusing on now is multifamily. I've been getting interested in maybe trying to have a Airbnb property that would be suitable for that, or you know, short-term, some kind of short-term rental. I'm looking for possibly something out of state as well that could work for that.
Okay, great. Anyone else? Everybody good? I guess we're good to go. Scott, I don't know if you can hear us or not, if you're still on. Matthew, I want to be able to address whatever question you wanted to know about that we talked about previous to the call starting out. Can you there, Matthew?
Yeah, I'm here. So my central question involved closing issues. So for one, I originally was able to buy a multifamily unit within the Rochester area for about 70,000, and there was a current tenant in there that was it was a good investment opportunity. After purchasing the property, in order to secure financing, they said that I needed W-2s, but I'm Canadian, and so I wasn't able to provide that. And then they also mentioned that in order for me to qualify, I would need a cosigner, even though I have the money for all that. So I wanted to find out if there were any loopholes or avenues that I could take in order for me to avoid the cosigner requirement.
That's a great question. I know, first of all, can anybody even answer that?
I think your issue probably is that you don't have like regular income. Are you a student?
Yeah.
So that's like the debt to income ratio probably isn't working, especially if you're here on a visa. Are you here on a student visa?
Correct.
Yeah, so those are probably all issues that are coming up, that they want someone here who's not on a visa and has regular monthly income to qualify for like a traditional agency mortgage. You'd probably have to go to some sort of like a hard money lender or alternative financing, since you are here on only, it's probably like an F1 visa.
Correct.
And you are a student, so you know there's no regular monthly income coming in to qualify for it. Even if you have down payment money, that's fantastic, but you still have to show that you can make the payments, because you can only use a percentage of that income to qualify. So that's probably what's holding you back on getting like a traditional agency mortgage.
Yeah. And Matthew, have you thought about partnering up with somebody who's here?
In terms of
partnering up with them to be able to keep the deal alive, do you have anybody you may be able to partner up with who lives here, who is from here, who you'd be able to do the deal with?
No, that I actually have asked. I asked my mentor, but she said no, because when she bought her first home, I guess she maxed out her credit card or something like that. So she has like PTSD from, I guess, home ownership. I don't know, it was really weird. But no, as a Canadian, there's not really many people that I would be able to ask in regards to a co-signer. So I was looking for ways to avoid that. That way I don't have to rely on other people, if that makes
Well,
sense.
Jennifer, I mean, Jennifer- oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, one approach, and we have a couple of them on the phone, is to actually, on the call, I should say, is to maybe pass it by some private lenders.
Okay.
And see if it's something that they would be interested in. I think that one of the concerns would be, well, when you're doing private lending, I mean, obviously the requirements are substantially different. They're looking primarily at the property and what it is that is provided through the property as security. And so the fact that you're Canadian would probably be some bit of concern, but clearly not as much as it would be with some commercial lender. So a couple of those folks are on the call, and I don't know whether they would want to speak to it at this point, but one of the things that you get as a member of Freedom First, and this is true for pretty much any real estate investment association, and that is you get deals, but you also get avenue associated with funding that a lot of people don't think about or know about that's readily available. Because for private lenders, that is the way that they do their real estate investing. And so but each one has their own thoughts and approaches as far as how they vet individuals and they're looking at it on a case-by-case basis and making a determination as to whether or not that is something that they really want to do. Okay. And so being able to reach out to one of those folks would be one approach. So, and you know, it's one of those things where if you look at it from a traditional standpoint, it's not something that most individuals I shouldn't say individual, most banks or large institutions are going to be interested in doing because of the fact that, you know, you're Canadian and the other important components that was brought up associated with income ratio and all those other things. Private lenders tend to not take a deep look at that and look more at the property itself.
Okay. I mean, I was able to it's kind of interesting. A couple months ago, what started off as not necessarily a joke, but I called Chase Bank just to see if I would be pre-approved for a loan, and I was pre-approved. So from there, I realized, or later on, once I actually bought the home, that there was an underwriting process, which is where they take a real deep dive into the situation, and that's when the whole issue arose. But thank you. I'm definitely gonna speak to any private lenders that are within this group and just try to engage their interest and see if they are able to assist me in the situation I'm in. But thank you.
But Matthew, I have one question though. When you say you bought the home, did it close or did you have a sales contract that died?
Sales contract.
Sales contract, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a lot of equity in the property?
I believe so. I mean, it was my realtor at the time that I did it with estimated the property to be valued at above at least 100,000, and I bought it for 70. So
what part of town was it in?
I'm not sure, but the address was 82 Glendale Park.
Okay.
Within the Rochester area.
I think I know that property.
Yeah, I went, toured it. It looked really nice. Like my realtor was even like, "Whoa, why was it so cheap?" But
yeah.
So you haven't closed on it yet?
No.
Now, I mean, have you researched areas that you're looking to go into?
Mainly within the upstate area, so Rochester, Buffalo area. I'm not really too particular with the specific location within the city. Just looking for areas in which there are multifamily units available, where there are tenants that are currently occupying it. More specifically, long-term tenants, because those are more trustworthy, and that already provide cash flow for the mortgage while I'm in school.
Now, did they already do the appraisal?
No,
So the appraisal hasn't been done yet.
no, I actually, what I did was I did the purchase contract, and when I was unable to secure a co-signer for the financing, I actually canceled the sales contract. So now I'm back at ground zero.
And how long ago was this? There's a reason why I'm asking this.
It's about a month ago.
Okay, because I know the market has been subsiding a little bit, so some of the numbers are starting to come down.
Which is even greater news.
Yes, yes, that's why I was asking.
So, I mean, just to interject a little bit, Matthew, I mean, one of the things is that real estate investing in Rochester is a little bit different than maybe it is in parts of Canada, like particularly Toronto, you know, areas like that. And there's a reason why the price of the property is substantially less than a $400,000 property that's right on in the outskirts of Toronto. I think one of the things that I have as an advantage here is I do know some of the folks on the call, and there was a reason why Joe McGuire had that little giggle at the end of his comment, and that's because he's fairly familiar with that particular area, and so I think that given what you've outlined, it maybe is, let's just say it's okay if that contract necessarily did not go through because of the fact that you really, first and foremost, need to know the property, the area that the property is in, and be able to evaluate whether or not it's really worth the monies that's being outlined. And so that's something that members of this group can help you with, because a person like Joe, well, either one of the Joes, Joe McGuire, Joe LaBarbera, Andy McQuaid, okay, and you can go on and on and on through the list of people that's just here on the phone. And you know, we have over 200 active real estate investors, and if you name a street, they can probably tell you whether or not that street is a good place to invest or not. And I don't think there's necessarily any such thing as it being a good place to invest or not. It really is, what is it that you're trying to do when you're investing? Okay, because if you buy a house for $10,000 in the Glendale Park area, then it's a situation where you're getting ready to do a wholesale of it, and the price point is substantially different. So it's not that it's necessarily bad or good. It really is relative to what it is that you're paying for the property and what it is that you intend to do. So yeah, I mean, that's something that, you know, if you're a member, I'll be willing to help you. Joe LaBarbera, all the folks on this call will be willing to help you.
Okay. How do I become a member?
You just go to the website and you sign up.
Oh, okay.
And it's $169 a year, and it's about as inexpensive as you can get, particularly if we're looking at real estate investing. And one of the things, a number of people have mentioned investing outside of the Rochester area, and that's one of the key projects that the leadership team has on their list of things to do in a way that would allow members to be able to be engaged in that sort of thing.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, one of the key places is Houston, Texas. For obvious reasons.
All right. Well, Matthew, hopefully that answered your, and by the way, we like to keep this interactive, so please don't feel free if people want to interject or if you want to expand on some of those, on some of the questions or statements, please feel free to do that. Okay. That's how we all learn here. But Matthew, hopefully that answered your questions. We're not trying to make you nervous, but Leon hit the nail right on the head.
Oh no, I'm not nervous. Not nervous. The person I was working with did mention that the address or the area of the property was in a kind of rougher area, but like looking at the details and stuff like that, I just noticed that the person occupying the lower unit was there since 2004, and they're not looking to leave. So that would just generate income, no matter how tough the area is. I mean, if someone's there for a long time, I mean, it doesn't really affect me too much. But
yeah, well,
So let me interject something real quickly here, and it'll change the balance point of maybe some of your thought processes. So in the US, we just went through the pandemic, and in Florida, I know, and I'll give this as an example. In Florida, I know an individual who lives there, and this person has 160 units across the US. And, you know, his comment, and remember, I'm an investor in New York, okay, but I'm just repeating his comment. His comment was, who invests in real estate in New York? If you're buying, if you're flipping houses, okay, but who buys houses and then put tenants in them? And what he's alluding to with those comments was the challenge that you have in New York, and particularly in C and D oriented areas, because in C and D oriented areas, you can go not months, but you can go years without getting your rent payment. So if you just take that one piece by itself, the equation shifts drastically. And so if you try to evict a tenant here, then the challenge is substantial versus if you're in Florida. And his following comments to me was, I just evicted someone in Florida, and I started the eviction, and 16 days later, their S ends in a T word was on the street. Okay, so substantially different approach to how things are done. And if you're in Texas, for example, it's a little bit of a shift, but it's still not going to take you, 3 months or 4 months to get somebody out. But in Texas, it's a non-judicial state, but that applies to real estate closings and those sorts of things. When it comes to evictions, that's how it goes through the court system, which means that it is a judicial state. And therefore, instead of taking it, typically it takes 2 to 3 months to get someone out. But in Rochester, Syracuse, New York City, the challenge can become substantially greater than that. In 6 months down the road, you still be trying to get someone out of the property. So in other words, to sort of cut to the chase, you could have someone there in the property that's been there for 2 years that never paid any rent. Because it's a tenant-friendly state, correct? New York, the state of New York?
Yes.
You could use that terminology, I would say. It's a anti-housing provider state.
Pro public housing and not privatized. Let's say that, because that's probably the most accurate way you could phrase it.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. And by the way, we're not trying to scare anybody on here. Just, you know, we just want to make sure people are informed with what's going on.
Well, the other thing is too, that traditionally what you'll see when you're looking at these older properties that have tenants that have been in there for 10 or 15 years is they're paying rent rates that might be 10 or 15 years old.
Correct.
And you wouldn't even cover your tax payment now. If you paid 70 grand for that house, you're probably talking about 3 or 4 grand a year in taxes. And then that their rent may not cover that.
Mhm.
So you need to just keep an eye out, because a lot of tenants will just bail when you bring them up to market rate or whatever the going rate is in that area.
And in some cases, you'll be lucky if they do bail. But the thing that happens is
They don't move.
you have a substantial difference in breaking point with the way things work if you are in a B area versus a CD area. Okay, so in an AB area, I know people who they've lived in their properties and they lived in there for 10, 15 years and they never miss a rent payment. But and the devil is always in the detail. 1, 2, you can't assume a rational process, and want to make sure that you have a little bit of understanding around the fact that even though it makes sense that someone should pay their rent, they're not necessarily going to do that. And when you start looking at the details, when you get into certain areas, you're really opening yourself up to those negative things happening, much more so than you would in other parts of these here United States and Canada.
Thank you.
Now it scared the crap out of you.
No.
Right, good.
It's funny because I originally, when he mentioned Florida, it reminded me of something, because I originally wanted to do this property first, just for the year, just to test it out, and then really expand. And I was looking actually within a multi, like I think it was 14 units within the Orlando, Florida area that I was really interested in acquiring. But I wanted to start off with a duplex first, just because I've kept hearing that the first year of being a real estate investor or / homeowner is the toughest. So I just wanted to start off slow and then expand. But
great.
On a positive side, to follow up, people do. There's a lot to be said for real estate, and probably the duplex might not, or a duplex might be a good way to get your feet wet and learn with it. And one of the advantages to FFREIA is people do share information, unlike a lot of organizations. It was founded, the motto is people freely share their information, which is you do not get in a number of cities.
Yeah, I mean, just to interject, I mean, clearly the components that I just talked about, I'm sorry, Joe, but I just wanted to clarify. I tend to be a person that's going to tell you the way it is, and certainly it's not some of the more positive things that I would be telling you if you're going to be investing in New York. There certainly are a number of them, but there are challenges in no matter where it is that you're going to be investing, and it's better to know the items that we're talking about now than to find out about them later. So I'm sorry, Joe, back to your comment.
And where I was headed with it is there are some other challenges with this, not that property, but with your situation. And FFREIA would be a good organization to meet people and learn perhaps how to mitigate some of the issues you have. As Jennifer had brought up, you have some the student issue and the Canadian issue to resolve, and that's something that you can do more privately.
Okay.
than agency loan. Yeah, agency loans are going to be tough at this point, and as a student is going to be real tough. So
The minute I mentioned student, it's like,
yeah,
oh no,
you're
no,
dead.
no. Like,
Yeah, that's why I asked if this deal had closed.
mhm.
It was like, yeah, as a student, because I used to sell mortgages also, and it's not going to work. You want private, you want to be dealing with people privately. And as I don't know if you were here when Lewis had mentioned his father purchasing their first house. It was with seller financing, and now you're talking my language on seller financing, but that could do a lot for you also. But those are things you learn in this organization. So, you know, and being remote to your property is another big challenge on managing them.
Okay.
All right.
I was going to mention that too. I mean, there are such things as debt service coverage ratio loans. So you can, it's simply based on the debt service of the property. And there are foreign national programs that you can look into, but you are looking then at a minimum of 30% down, and not owning a primary residence may be an issue. So that's, and remember, you're remotely managing a property. So you want to make sure that when you're so many hours away, it's going to be okay for you, or you have a property management company. I'm sure there's people here with property management companies keeping an eye on it for you. So those are some other things that I would, you know, if you really are looking at that type, you're looking at like a 30% down plus closing costs type of loan.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right, perfect. All right. Anyone else have questions, by the way, that you'd like to, that you were thinking about, or at least want to see if we get some answers on for you? Don't be afraid to ask. Again.
Yeah, Joe, I can take a stab at it. So as it's been evidently made clear that I've been in Texas for a while, what was big last 2-3 years ago, given the low interest rates, was wholesaling. It's something that really picked up. Just wondering how attractive that is now, given the interest rates where they are. And in addition to that, is this really a market for something like that in Rochester?
Wholesaling is a fantastic market. I know from personal experience, when the market goes down, unfortunately, my business took off like crazy for the wholesaling part. Okay. And it doesn't matter.
Can you explain what exactly you mean by wholesaling? Are you talking about wholesaling properties?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, you know, I get a property under contract, and then all I do is I don't close on the property. I just sell the paper, you know. And perfect example is you get $100,000 house for 35, and you sell it to somebody else, another investor who's going to close on it. And you say, just give me a $5,000 referral fee or whatever. So you sell it to them for 40, and you just wholesaled out a property. Okay. Can you make more or less? Yes. But, you know, and I do a ton of wholesaling. And that's how I started my business, because I was broke. I had no money, nothing. And it's a great way to start out. Is it competitive? Yes. It doesn't matter if the market's up or down. What it boils down to is what you can get the property at. Okay.
So traditionally, the contract, then, are you selling it to other investors? Is that what you're doing mostly? Because a purchase contract, like if you were selling it to a regular person, wouldn't there be an issue with transferring the purchase contract? Or are you doing a whole nother contract?
Well, I do a regular contract. It's assignable. And then they just fill out another contract, which is, for mine, is basically half a maybe one paragraph, and it's just me assigning my rights to the contract to them. And their attorney takes over. Keep it very stupid simple. It's just the way I am. It works for me.
Wow.
And you can do that with anything. I mean, Scott and Gabe, they, they pay wholesalers, they get storage facilities wholesale to them. You can wholesale anything, whether you go into grocery stores, foods wholesale. In this case, it's real estate. And again, it doesn't matter if I don't care if people are paying 10% interest rates. You figure that rate into your price. Okay. And it all boils down to the prices. Wholesaling is a great way to start. Rochester's a fantastic area to market in. If you look up Rochester, we're constantly top 10 in the country to invest in, as crazy as it seems. So people who have to fly in, drive in to invest in Rochester, we get to walk out our front doors. Okay. So wholesaling here, and, and I'm going to let Scott expand upon the, because again, I'm talking, just residential. I'll let Scott expand on just on the wholesaling with the storage facilities.
Yeah, I'll talk about that quick. Hopefully my internet's
a
little more stable now.
Are you there, Scott?
Did I freeze?
He froze.
Yep. Okay. I turned my video off. I think I'm okay now. It's funny. I was sitting here and, listening to everything, watching everybody move, and then I go to talk, and all of a sudden everybody freezes up. So one of the joys of living a mobile lifestyle, or not so much a joy, is Wi-Fi internet connectivity. I know a lot of you are sitting in your house connected right to the Wi-Fi or connected hardwired in. But I do Wi-Fi, and most times it works good, but not always.
I'm going to send you a device that you can put on an RV that will
like
give you
self-storage.
anywhere.
We've done both. Oh, all right, thanks. Yeah, send me info on that. That'll be great. If it's Starlink, I'm looking into that one. But yeah, I would appreciate that, Jennifer. But yeah, with self-storage, we've done both. I'll let Gabe talk about assignments and stuff like that. But for me, when I buy a self-storage facility from a wholesaler, they're putting under contract for, let's say, $500,000, and to me, the facility's worth $800,000, and I'll pay them a $100,000 wholesale fee, because what I'm doing, I'm actually getting the facility for $600, and to me, it's worth $800, so it's well worth it for me to do that. So that's how we do it with the self-storage. Gabe, do you want to talk a little bit about how you do your assignments on the self-storage?
Are you talking about as far as my methodology of finding the properties and getting them on a contract, or what do you? I mean,
probably just how you assign it.
I'm going to say once you put them under contract.
Once I put them under contract, well, once we sign the purchase and sale agreement, I mean, it's pretty simple from that point forward. Both sides either have an attorney or a title agency working together, and both buyer and seller. And at that moment of the signatures on the agreement.
Yeah, how like your assignments.
I'm sorry, what's that? Oh, okay. Once we have an agreement, I give a call to Scott, and Scott, has a network of buyers, and they take care of the financing part. They take care of the 50% part from due diligence to closing. Once we have procured a buyer, and there's always a backup of one or the other because of his vast network. Now, anyone should know that's been in real estate that no closing is easy. I don't care if it's commercial or residential. We have one. We've had one that we've been dealing with since, believe it or not, December of last year. We're still trying to close in this damn property. So, but at the end of it, though, whether it's 6 months or 2 months, or 3 months. Because that's typically the typical time, 45 and 45 days. The reward is enough that I won't say the reward, the the gain is enough that you keep going. And I always say that once you get that little taste of that storage wholesale fee, it's like crack. You just want more and more and more of it, and it just keeps you going. And it's a more of a motivator, and it's a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, the more phone calls you guys make, ooh, you meet some interesting people. You meet some really interesting people and their personalities and stuff. And you really get I thought the restaurant business, I met a lot of interesting people. Go over the whole United States. Scott, you know this, you grew over the United States as well. So, it's really interesting of the people I talk to, and just you scratch your head like, does this person forget about school? Does he have any common sense? It's like, and it's like, it's really, really interesting. But yeah, the process is simple. Just like Joe, he says, just keep it simple, stupid, and it's as more simplified you can make it, the better it is for both parties. And because these people want to be in and out, those people that you find, you call them, they're like, I got to get out now, so we try to dumb it down with better like terms, to get both parties in and out, or get the seller of the in and out as quickly as possible. I hope that explains.
Now, for everybody, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're doing residential, if you're doing storage or commercial, I mean, the wholesaling is going to be basically the same thing. And it's just, compared to a residential, versus a storage facility or commercial unit, it's just more zeros. But, everything else is pretty much the same. And so we're in Homar, hopefully we're not confusing you with anything. I mean, is this answering some of your questions that you had, by the way?
Yeah, I think this is super helpful for me.
So, I mean, have you done any, you haven't done any deals, you haven't done anything yet?
No, I have had friends who've done quite a bit. So I've been like secondhand smoke sort of in some of these, but I am starting to dip my feet now a little bit more.
Yeah, stick to them like glue. If you have somebody who's doing it, that's the best way to learn. Learn as you earn. But yeah, I would, and then obviously networking and getting in groups like this, you'll learn more and be able to expand your knowledge, especially of the area. Because I assume you're just focusing on in Rochester area, like most of us.
Yeah. I think I'm also focusing on Rochester area, but then I do have plans eventually to expand, especially I know the Houston area really well. So, and I have some network there. So
you and Leon should definitely get in contact with each other, because I know Leon still does business there, still does real estate there, and you guys can divide and conquer.
Yep.
So just to interject a bit here, I've been doing real estate investing for a while, and he may be a little bit upset, but I get a chance to see real estate investors across the whole US. Okay. The person that I really feel, if I look at all of those individuals, the very best person that I know at wholesaling is Joe Lapabero. He's second to none. And I'm not talking about here, I'm talking about these here whole United States, and a lot of real estate investors. They can't hold a candle to him. He is unbelievable.
I don't know about that. I just try to keep up with everybody else. That's all I do, Leon.
Yeah, you do a pretty good job of it, no question. Pretty good job of it, for sure.
Oh, it's because of this group. That's why I'm wearing it, because of this.
Yeah, and that's the key thing, this group has a lot of knowledge, a lot of information, and certainly can help those who are looking to be successful in real estate investing across the whole board.
Yeah.
Pretty much every arena.
Yeah.
I bought a property that I've since sold, and it came as an assignment from Joe Lababera, and I think that was in 2007. And he was just starting then. The one on Kislingberry. So,
I forgot. I don't even remember that, Leon. That
Yeah,
was
that's because-
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of houses. I don't even, oh my God, I don't even remember.
Yep, but it was one of those things where, you know, basically just starting out, and that's how I first met him. It was, yeah, it was
You remember.
through that transaction, and last year before last, we actually sold that house for 3-4 times what we paid for it. So got a lot of people with information, and like I said in the very beginning, it's a not-for-profit group, and one of the things that we do is we live and breathe to help people.
Okay, great. Wow. And wow. Yeah, so Omar is, you know, as far as for, you know, if you're more than welcome to call and like that to answer questions and stuff like that, you know, because I know we maybe answered some, maybe raised some, or you'll be thinking about some afterwards. And if there's people who have questions about it, don't be afraid to interject also. First of all, does anyone else have any other questions that they'd like to get answered, or things you want to know about? Don't be afraid to speak up. This is what we're here for. Yes.
We talk about the market, maybe people's feelings on what's going on now and what's going to happen maybe in the next 6 months.
We're actually going to be, I know Gabe and Scott, I know mentioned to me about going over some of that actually. I don't know if Scott wanted to talk about that actually, or is Scott even still there, or is he frozen?
He's frozen.
I think he's frozen. Is he? So
it seems to be, yeah.
So one of the things that I know Gabe had sent something over, and you know we were actually, Gabe found something. A lot of us, we still learn every day. We're always watching stuff. I mean, YouTube is a great free university to learn from, and you know, and I've been watching a lot of stuff that's been going on in regards to the market, and a lot of people, you know, this is going to be a great time to really get involved in real estate. And there's people out there that are sitting and waiting, and you know, some people are waiting, some people are not. I know there's a lot of people sitting by the sidelines right now, just waiting. You know, there are still great deals to be had right now. Okay, there are still people buying properties. I know I'm buying properties. We just put in some offers. There's also still a lot of people who are, you know, they're still in a mentality where they still want to get as high of a price as possible. And I call T&C, time and circumstances are going to change people's minds. Okay. The market in regards to where we're going, again, when we were talking with Omar, and I said, you know, when the market starts going down, our business is going to take off. And it will, as long as people know about you or about us, and they know that we're out there buying properties, because people are going to need some serious solutions here. And it's not, and I'm not talking about trying to take advantage of people in the marketplace. It's not about that. It's about actually being able to help you. There's going to be people out there that are going to need help to get out. They just want to get out. You know, to them, their property, their house, their rental, whatever the heck it is, their Airbnb, their storage facility, their commercial property, to them is an anchor around their neck while they're trying to swim. Okay. So understand, when 2007, 8, 9 meltdown happened, my business started taking off. Okay. Because so many people needed to sell their properties. And obviously you got to price things accordingly. Okay. By the way, I don't know, is Scott even back yet, by the way?
No. Well, he's back. I don't know if he
I'm
can
back.
talk. Okay, good.
He's somewhat back. you keep fading in and out. So you know, so I mean, I don't know if you heard what we've been talking about, Scott, about the marketplace.
Yeah, I caught parts of it and then I cut out and came back in. But yeah, the video, Gabe, if you have that video, maybe you can share it in the chat. Kind of talks about some deep people's outlooks, and I'm going to say this is the first time I've learned to take advantage of a downturn in the market. People who stay in now, you're going to make money. You just have to hang tough. Like Joe said, you're out there, you're helping people. There's lots of people out there struggling. They can't keep their house. The rentals have just got them upside down and uptight. Even in self-storage, we're finding people the price that they're asking for their properties. So right now is a good time to be helping people, but there's still deals out there to be had.
So Scott, sorry, you're breaking up.
That helps.
Yep, you're breaking up a little bit, but and just understand something. Some of us have been through the last downturn, and my business took off like a rocket. Okay, because just like Scott Spear was talking about, you want to be the light at the end of people's tunnel. Okay, and once people know you're looking to buy properties, I mean, I bought a package of properties back in 2013. And at the time I used a hard money lender. I was paying 12% interest only, 12%. Right now people are freaking out over 5 to 6%. I was paying 12, almost double. And I gladly paid for it. Now those properties have increased in value by 4-fold. Okay, well into the seven figures. Okay, and it wasn't about, these are people who need, these are people who needed to get rid of the properties. By the way, that one right there ended up getting directly from a bank. I bought a package directly from them, and there are other people who are going to be looking for people like us. Okay, and the most important thing I tell people is, you have to be able to get out there and let people know that that you're buying properties. And the best example and the best way to think about it is, especially new people, or I even talk to people who have been in this for a while. A lot of them will say, I wake up in the morning and most people think about, okay, I have to buy a house, I have to find a commercial building, I have to find a storage facility, I have to find. When I wake up in the morning, my mentality is, how do I let as many people as possible know that I want to buy their property? Okay, that little shift, that little difference in your thinking is going to make you do things a lot differently than the person who's thinking, I have to find a house, because they're only thinking one house and it's themselves. Okay, that difference. Okay, and by the way, in the last downturn that happened, I was already establishing myself marketing wise. Okay, I was letting people know, and there were people out there who were telling me, oh, are you out of your mind? Are you out of this? You out of that? And doing what I did got me out of working out of my job. Thank God. Okay. So there, some of the people who were trying to tell me what to do, they knew nothing about real estate. Some of the people who were my family members, they meant well. That's okay. Just understand, no matter if the market's up or down, people are still finding deals. Okay. It's going to get much easier. It's going to get way easier. At the same time, you also have to adjust your prices too. Okay.
Joe, this is Chris. If I can add a little bit on a parallel lane concerning being afraid. My wife and I have been married 51 years, and we bought our first house in the suburbs of Philadelphia in 78. In 1980, I wanted to move up to a better house, and we were paying 18% mortgage, 18% mortgage, and we had good credit. Other people were paying 21%. So I actually wrote a blog about this, that don't be afraid of the mortgage rates, just keep on trucking, because everybody had the same problem. So it wasn't like we are the only ones that had that problem. Everybody was playing with the same deck of cards. So we kept buying. Our way to raise wealth was buy, hold, sell, buy, hold, sell, and repeat. Of course, always upward, such that that we were able to create our best nest egg was the equity in our house, and then all the rest of it was investment and so forth. My point is, I've never been afraid of interest rates. And when people talk to me about, 5-6%, I just kind of have to laugh, because we were paying 3 times that much. We were paying 19% in 1980, 1981, 82 through the early 80s. And of course, they've come down to, my current rate is 3.75. But so basically, don't be afraid. By the way, I wrote a blog on this. If you go to crossgatesproperties.com, look in the blog, and I wrote an article about that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic, and you're right. I mean, people found out I was paying 12% interest. They were like, what? And I gladly paid for it because these were A-class properties that I bought at D-class prices. Okay. Actually, I don't know if Scott's back or not. Maybe not. So, one of the things that I tell people, especially right now, is whatever niche you're in, really study it, get involved, and just get yourself educated. And, if you're stuck in that one certain niche, maybe try a different niche, maybe look at creative financing, don't just, don't just do the wholesaling. Maybe look at, like I tell people, wholesaling will make you money, will not create wealth. Okay. If you take the money and start buying properties and holding and fixing and flipping and moving upward and onward, yes, then you can create wealth. Okay. But right now, the market, I've been having conversations with people, and people are just waiting right now. They know that things are coming, but they're still buying. And one of the things I had just yesterday, I had a conversation with a homeowner, and I know her, so we could kind of be pretty straightforward with each other. She had a house that she needed to sell. It needed $150,000 worth of work. Yes, 150. She's telling me it's worth 300,000. I found out it's only worth 260, and she wanted 100 grand. Okay. And there was just no way I could make those numbers work. I just couldn't. And, I nicely showed her the numbers, and she came down to 80, which is still not going to work. But TNC is going to, eventually, make her come to her senses, time and circumstances. There are some people now who are starting to realize that, prices, their days on markets are going to be longer. Prices starting to come down, and they're going to have to start come down the prices. Yesterday, I had a real estate agent send me, they always get a list of properties that are listed. And, lately, the last few months, we've seen price reduction. And yesterday, 8 of them in a row, price reduction, boom, 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 all the way down. So they are coming down. So be careful if you're buying right now. Some of these people are so, well, my neighbor's house sold. And this is exactly what she told me. My neighbor's house sold for 300,000. I looked at it, and that house sold back in December of last year when the market was going crazy. And of course, the house was 300 square foot bigger and nicer. So you have to be very careful on evaluating those properties. Don't just, right now today I've got 4 properties I got to call on. I got a guy with a 10 unit, a 2 unit, and actually another double and a single. And, some of these people, some of their prices, they're a little bit more negotiable, and, amateurs convince professionals, we sort for the best deal as fast as possible. And that's all you want to do. So just be very careful on what's happening right now. Some people, they're happy if, they don't have to hit a home run. They said, if I get to second base, when the economy is going up, you're okay. But if you're thinking about just getting, getting a second base hit on a property in this economy going down, you better be careful. You may not make it to first base. And I think Scott's actually back. I can actually see you.
Yeah.
My God, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I discovered the problem, but Jennifer, I would still use that thing to put on top of my RV. But yeah, Joe hit it, and this is the market where people make money. A lot of people like, well, the market's so hot right now. I'm gonna wait till market calms down. I'm gonna wait till prices start coming down and being more affordable. And then prices start coming down, and people are like, oh wait, man, the market's going bad. This thing is not gonna bottom out. I could lose a ton of money, this, that, the other. And then it starts shifting again. The market starts going back up. And people are like, oh geez, man, I missed my opportunity. I could have bought at the bottom of the market. We all run that. I run that myself too. You just have to be very conservative, very, just look at the numbers right now. There's money to be made out there, and I think just run at it, but just run at it very conservatively. Just be smart with your investments. There's deals out there to be had, and just keep investing, especially Rochester, New York. That's where I built my business, and I tell people, if you can't make money in Rochester in real estate, I should say, if you can't make money in real estate in Rochester, don't go to other markets. In my opinion, Rochester is probably one of the most stable markets there is, and rental wise, I know that there was some big things with housing providers and evictions and stuff, and that was tough. It really was tough. But Rochester, in my opinion, is probably the most stable market there is out there, and there's deals to be had. So build your business in your backyard, and then you can venture out and build it across the country if you want. But that's my opinion. Rochester, I think, is the best real estate market there is. Period. All these people in all these other hot cities, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Florida. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
No, it was me, Scott. Just wanted to interject a bit here. Clearly, Rochester is a great market for investing, and I did make those comments earlier. They're all that I made. They're all valid. They're all correct. But the key thing about investing and timing, fundamentally, there's no good area. There's no bad area. There's no good time. There's no bad time. What real estate investors do is they adjust to the marketplace, and they adjust to the area, and they look at where the best returns are and what it is that they can do as real estate investors to be successful. And that adjustment is always taking place. I mean, in your mind, the way I look at it and say, well, things are going to shift. And the basic question is, are you going to be ready for the shift? Are you going to be ready to make the shift? And I think that's the things that Joe and Scott have been talking about, is the fact that things are changing. I mean, it's one of those basic scientific things. The only thing that's constant in this universe is change, and so things are constantly changing. And as real estate investors, it's very, very important to recognize those things and then to make the adjustment associated with it.
Yeah.
So that's my sort of 2 cents.
Yeah. And by the way, I know we've only got a few minutes left here, but we're going to stay on afterwards. Anyone, because I know some people may have to possibly go there because we're almost at 10:30. But I know myself, I don't know if Scott can, depending on his signal, stay on a few extra minutes with everybody, because it is about 10:30. So we want to be respectful of people's time. Again, we're going to stay on if you have some questions, but if you have to go, feel free to leave the meeting, but we'll be on here for a little bit. All right. And by the way, Phil, you have to go. Thank you so much for being on here. Our next one is going to be 2 Thursdays from now, but it's going to be in the evening. 6:45 is when it technically, we'll just get on there, start talking. 7 o'clock is when we start. That'll be 2 Thursday nights from now. All right. Thanks, everyone.
More importantly, everyone sign up for the picnic. Please let us know if you're coming. We need to know the numbers.
Okay.
You have a deadline on that, Leon? What's the deadline? I think it was last week, but what's the deadline for the date for register?
Typically, and I don't have the list of folks who have signed up, but typically a lot of people show up and we don't know who's coming in it. And sometimes we end up with more people or less people, and it creates a big challenge because we have to prepare the food and do all those things associated with getting things squared away and set up. So the key thing is for everybody to register as soon as they possibly can.
Okay.
Thanks. And Jennifer, I did see your message in the chat. Thank you very much. I'm going to check that out. And if you have more information on it, I appreciate it. That'd be great. And I'm going to hang on for a little bit. What I wound up doing was switching to my phone, doing the Zoom on my phone, which is great. The connectivity is better. My problem is I can only see like 4 faces at a time. So, and I like to see everybody's smiling face, especially Brandy when she comes on. But yeah, I think this one I might have to do in the future when I'm in a remote location like this. So, but yeah, thanks everybody for joining. Great input stuff. I'm going to stay on for a little while. I can stay on for about another 15 minutes myself. But just go do real estate. Keep learning. Meet up with people. Ask questions. Keep coming back to these. That's why we leave these as an open format to just let people ask questions and put their thoughts out there and what they're thinking, because a lot of these Zooms we get on, it's just info, and you're not able to interact. And that's why Joe Laubera and I set this up to be more interactive, let people interact and give their input and ask questions. So we appreciate everybody joining.
So Scott, you doing any storage deals today, you and Gabe?